All right, so it looks like we are ready to go.
Àbọ̀rúbọyè gbogbo àwò. Àbọ̀rúbọyè ẹ̀yin babaláwo. Èèyàn ìbọ̀rúbọyè ó yàn.
All right, Aboro Aboye. This is Oluo Fakola de Idinkaifa Temple. So before we begin, I want to pray, but I want to also welcome you all and send some shout outs, some hail ups, some thank yous to so many people who have supported our work and our movement up to this point. Thank you all of the members of Idinka. We want to pay homage to our elders, our teachers, my parents, my Baba Ifa, Salagbere Popola. We want to thank you all for all of your support. Ashe. Mojuba Loro, Mojuba Leda, Mojuba Loro Mare, Mojuba Bobo Male, Mojuba Bobo Male, Mojuba Bobo Ekun, Sembili, So Loro Mare, Mojuba, Oshungwade, Mojuba Guade, Mojuba Fragadamas, Mojuba Tua, Mojuba Flori, Mojuba Palau Corriente, Mojuba Felipe Zaluetu, Mojuba Gunjobi, Mojuba Mi, Mojuba Samolo, Mojuba Shalanko, Mojuba Mituna de, Mojuba Chili, Mojuba Sejama, another from the first. I won't Baba, Tia, two, Edge your bed. He who hears people's pleas and accept the pleas. He who hears people's pleas and approves the pleas. He who talks to people and ensures that the talks are completely absorbed. He who hears people's pleas and accept the pleas. It's the name of Ifa. He who hears people's pleas and approves pleas is the name of Eshrodar. He who talks to people and ensures that the talk is completely absorbed is the name of Orishanla. Orishanla, you're the person most who means. The person most one cannot fail to impress one. The striped frog is when someone's rainfall. The bullfrog is when someone's downpour. It is whatever the Hakireju poem, true tells earth, or fifth accepts, whatever the big rat tells earth, or fifth accepts, all what I tell you about, please accept them and approve them. I share. Or Tourette. To show gratitude upon gratitude, the hour of gratitude, to display benevolence upon benevolence is the hour of our benevolence. Whoever does not show gratitude for yesterday's benevolence, such a person will receive today's gratuity. These were the declaration fought to the phone and running Malay. We're going to marry your boy. Daughter Rush Fuji. These are the declaration fought to aluminum. We're going to marry your boy. The daughter Rush Fuji. I am grateful. I shall receive my gratuity. I'm grateful for yesterday's favor. I shall receive today's gratuity. Otu Arete, we are very grateful. Ashe. Awa dupe. Awa bure. Awa dupe. Awa bure. Adúpẹ́ aláwa òbúre kò nébọ̀ Olódùmarè àwa dúpẹ́ àwa búre àwa dúpẹ́ o àwa búre adúpẹ́ aláwa òbúre kò nébọ̀ orílẹ̀-èdè àwa dúpẹ́ àwa búre. Àwa dúpẹ́ o, àwa búre. A dúpẹ́ àná àwa òbúre kò nébọ̀ irúnmọlẹ̀. Àwa dúpẹ́, àwa búre. Àwa dúpẹ́ o, àwa búre. A dúpẹ́ àná àwa òbúre kò nébọ̀ lẹ́gùn lọ ìṣà. Àwa dúpẹ́, àwa búre, àwa dúpẹ́ o, àwa búre, a dúpẹ́ àná àwa òbúre kò nébọ̀. Olodumare and the divinities, we ask that you would forgive us for the things that we might have done incorrectly or wrong, breaking any taboos. A roast and tutu pounded yam without soup can be very difficult to consume. These were the declarations of Ifa through Tutu. The child of Agbeneregun, he was full of bad character. He was bad attitude had prevented it from into Ifa's domain. Now it comes to solicit on behalf of it, Tutu. We've come to beg on behalf of it, Tutu. Father, please be patient. Overlook the provocation. Those who beg on behalf of it, Tutu. How many children does Ifa have that he would cast one out? Those who beg on behalf of it, Tutu. Oh, Belara, Father, we ask that you would continue to ward off all death, ward off sickness, cases, controversy, ward off fights, litigation, losses, and outright fights, ward off witchcraft and negative forces from us. Bring forth to us longevity, prosperity, victory over adversity. Help us to overcome the challenges of the world today. We call on you. Rumla says time to sleep. I echo this time to sleep when the day dawns. I met a Rumla in the 16th room where he covered his head with a flowing gown full of lights. He was wearing a dress full of bloodstains. He was snoring heavily. They told him that delegate from his cypress. Rumla inquired of what the delegate had brought. They told him that he brought 2 raspberries for running, 2 fish grapes from swimming, 2 birds swift in flight, and 2 goats with big livers. The Rumla said that is not enough to wake him up. I admit my ignorance, please educate me. Montuna Karaba, I hide myself in your bosom and survive. Montuna Karaba, the dog carrying masqueraded beast, the Agbadron repeatedly. The dog carrying masqueraded beast, the Agbadron repeatedly to perform rituals because of children. You are the leaders, you're the followers. Leaders are the ones who show the followers wisdom. Rumla told them to get alligator pepper, to get cola nut, to get bitter cola, to get alcohol. The capo got the alligator pepper, he got the cola nut, the bitter cola, and he got the alcohol. That is right, it's now that he is fully awake. Rumla, when you are fully awake, please look at me with your eyes of compassion. It is with eyes of compassion that the heavenly stars you can look at the stars below. Rumla, when you're fully awake, please look at me with your eyes of help one to secure great wealth and such good eyes of heavenly stars you can look at the stars below. Rumla, when you're fully awake, please look at me with your eyes of help one to secure good spouses, such good eyes my spouse should use and look at me with. Rumla, when you're fully awake, please look at me with your eyes with help one to bear many children. It's such good eyes a child should use and looking at a well-decorated plate. Before long, not before I join us in the midst of all evil night. Father, we ask that you will continue to ward off all death, sickness, cases, controversy. Hear all of our prayers on the Odu, Oshe Aruela, Oshe Tua. Tiny other feet of tuba, the stripe of a chameleon is not big enough to be this head here. Had it been enough to use his head gear, I would have taken it home and gone my head with it. These reflect decorations to our line. We're going on a spiritual mission to Jebelan. We've called on locust and seller and pay her money. We've called on the salt seller and make her rich. We've called on Aruela with respect in the Jebelan. Oshe Aruela is a good war. Oshe Tura. Antikini Bagisa, the abstract sharply against the truth. Classified for Rumla when he used to receive Iba and Ashe from all of the minds. If an owl touches you wealthy, surely be wealthy. I kick any baggy sign, the mouth of an owl, Zatibana Shen, the mouth of an owl. No church have joy, surely have joy. I kick any baggy sign, the mouth of an owl, Zatibana Shen, the mouth of an owl. If no church have victory, surely have victory. I kick any baggy sign, the mouth of an owl, Zatibana Shen, the mouth of an owl. If no church have all the good things of life, you should surely have all the good things of life. I kick any baggy sign, the mouth of an owl, Zatibana Shen, the mouth of an owl. Essie, may it be so, surely shall it be. Ashe Orisha lẹ́nu mi o, Ashe Orisha lẹ́nu mi. Gbogbo tí mo bá màmá wí o, ìrúmọlẹ̀ ó bà. Ifá ó bà o, Ashe Orisha lẹ́nu mi. Ashe Orisha lẹ́nu mi o, Ashe Orisha lẹ́nu mi. Gbogbo tí mo bá màmá wí o, ìrúmọlẹ̀ ó bà. Ifá ó bà o, Ashe Orisha lẹ́nu mi. Tí mo ń dúró, tí mo ń súre, tí mo ń bẹ̀rẹ̀, tí mo ń súre, bí mo ń kúnlẹ̀, tí mo ń súre, bí mo jókòó, tí mo ń súre. Ire tí mo sùn orí ti bọ́. Tí mo ń dúró, tí mo ń súre, tí mo ń bẹ̀rẹ̀, tí mo ń súre. Bí mo kúnlẹ̀, tí mo súre, bí mo jókòó, tí mo súre, ire tí mo sùn orí ti bọ́. Olodumare and the divinities, we call upon our Ori as our great support. Ori ani larure yani o, Ori ani larure yani, Mojulo mi fawa mari. Ori ẹni làrúrẹ ẹni, orí ẹni làrúrẹ ẹni ọ, orí ẹni làrúrẹ ẹni, mọ́júlọ́ mo fà wá mọ́rí, orí ẹni làrúrẹ ẹni. Bobore chansu. Ifa oba lorun. Àtìbàtàjò. Ifa oba lorun. Ó ṣe àrùn ìlà ìfàtìbọ̀. Gbogbo ṣáàtú. Ifa oba lorun. Àtìbàtàjò. Ifa oba lorun. Ó ṣe àrùn ìlà ìfàtìbọ̀. Olodumare and the divinity, please come. Please support us. Please ward off all death, ward off sickness, cases, controversy, ward off fights, litigation, losses, and outright fights from us at this time. Bring to us long life, good spouse, good children, longevity, prosperity, victory over adversity, peace of mind, joy, healing, success, and all the wonderful things of life. Father, please continue to support us, ward off all the ajokum, and bring forth the erase. Ashe. Olodumare, at this time, we ask that you would continue to ward off the challenges from us. Help us to hear a word of Ifa, a good word of Ifa. Ifa, please move my ego out of the way so that we can hear good Ifa this morning. We ask that you would continue to protect us and insulate us from the negativity that is outside and even the negativity that is inside. Help us to understand that there is hope even during a time with such peril. Ashe. Emma kami many amo, Emma kami many ano, Emma kami many adeloku, tamuole, tori ifa loni mi, ebora timpanini, eni banami, ahun ati ifa lelejo. Ashe. Thank you all so much. Once again, I'm Oluo Fakolade of Idinkai Ifa Temple. We thank you so much for joining us today. Today is a rather auspicious day because we will be talking about something that will give us even more power and more faith. Today's topic is hope in a time of hopelessness. So we want to deal with how can we maintain hope during such challenging times. I want to thank once again all of the folks who support Idinkai Ifa Temple. We thank you all for your support, your contributions. Iathea Monye, thank you. We want to thank Shalagbade Popola, my Baba Ifa, my wife, Iya Ifa Domininu, my parents, Catherine Robert Edmonds. We want to thank my sister, Iya Awojola. We want to thank Tanda Sizwe Shumaringa, Maisha Walker Dean. We also want to thank Maritza Clay. She's the individual who supports us in making all of our wonderful ilekes and ides, for Denise and for her mother, Miss Susanna. We want to thank you all of you all, for your support, your contributions, your help. Thank you so much for helping us to make this happen. So, once again, the topic today is hope during a time of hopelessness. And I wanted to talk about this because at this moment in time, we're in a place when things that we can't take things for granted anymore. It's almost as if here today, gone today. People that we know and love, so many people that we know and love have passed in the last 2 years. It's been so challenging that in many cases, many of us haven't even really had the chance to truly mourn because here comes another loss. So we're in a very challenging time, especially with the things that are happening. Just in the last month, I noticed COVID-19, the Delta variant. And then aside from the Delta variant, then now they have a new variant called the Mu variant. And the Mu variant, they said that that variant is even more crazy than the Delta variant. It is resistant to any sort of vaccine. And then we got the challenges with the vaccine. And then on top of that, this past month on August 29th, 16 years after Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans, we see another powerful hurricane 16 years later, Hurricane Ida. This is a hurricane that I myself, my family's flights and our plans were delayed significantly because New Orleans was out of commission. And not only as we think about New Orleans and the Gulf Coast, we got to think about New York City, New Jersey, Tennessee, massive flooding, economic disaster, and ecological environmental challenges. And when we think about that, let's think of Haiti. Haiti being hit by a storm, earthquakes, and then the murder of the prime minister. When we think about all of these things, we have to agree that we are truly in some very, very, very perilous, challenging times. And when we think about these times, there are some people who are walking around within this world who have no hope. Many times people have no hope because what do you put your hope in? What have we put our faith in? What do we put our hopes and our dreams in? If we invest in this world, then you have hopelessness. But if you invest in Olodumare, there is hope. If you invest in Ifa, in the Orisha, there is hope. But this world will tell you otherwise. So when we think about all of these challenges, I just want to tell us that when we think we're down to nothing, when we think we have hit rock bottom, there's a pot of gold somewhere. There's something good that will come out of even the most perilous situation. We just have to be aware and pay attention and be spiritually intelligent. When we are down to nothing, Olodumare is up to something. We might suffer. It is only for a very short time. Ifa says in the Odu Ejiogbe, the deadfall trap fell and hit its chest on the ground. This was the Ifa cast for Yeye Aletile when she was weeping in lamentation of her inability to have all the good things in life. She was advised to offer a bow. She complied. The night of all Ire has not yet fallen for an Awo. There is hope. There is future. Let no one lose hope on Edu. There is hope. There is future. When we think about this Ifa verse, this woman by the name of Yeye Aletile, basically, Miss Yeye Aletile was experiencing all sorts of challenges within her life. She wanted a spouse. She didn't have a spouse. She wanted children. She didn't have any children. She wanted her own home. She didn't have stable income to maintain it. And her life was full of losses. And she got to a place where she was going to end her life. So in the process, she went, and before she took that wrong step, she went and cast Ifa. And when she cast Ifa, the Babalao said, basically, the night of all Ire has not yet fallen for you. It is not time yet. Sometimes our time is not like Olodumare's time. Sometimes our time is not like the Orisha time. Sometimes we are ahead of ourselves. Sometimes when we are not in that present moment, we're thinking about things in the future or even comparing our lives to somebody else. We might be thinking that someone else's life might be better than our own. Ifa says, the night of all Ire has not yet fallen. From the Odu Ejiogbe, the night of all Ire has not yet fallen. Ifa says, let no one lose hope on Edu. Edu is Ifa. Let no one lose hope on Edu. There is hope. There is future. Let no one lose hope on Edu. Ifa many times solves the challenges that we're experiencing, but Ifa will handle it in Ifa's time. And when we think about that, what does that also mean? We should not take detrimental means on ourselves. We should not beat ourselves up. We should not try to destroy ourselves, even during the time that we feel that we're suffering, because there is a remedy that we have not yet seen. If we can hold on and hold out, Olodumare will provide a solution. On the Odu Ifa, Obara Egutan, Ifa says, I reap benefits in the home. I also reap benefits in the farm. This was the Ifa cast for Akin Sami, the offspring of Ikori Aga, when he had been setting deadfall traps to no avail. He cast Ifa and offered a bow, and the first trap killed 20 animals. The back trap killed 30 animals, and the middle trap killed 50. He reached up to pull down a creeper plant, and 16 land snails fell at his feet. When he opened his mouth to exclaim, honey fell into his mouth. When he returned home, his pregnant wife had given birth to a set of twins. He declared that his life was as fulfilled of that of the Alafim. Before long, not too far, join us in the midst of Ire. What is Ifa saying here? Ifa is saying this young man by the name of Akin Sami. Akin Sami went and he was having so many challenges in his life. Part of the challenges were he could not make ends meet, and he had a family. So many of us know the pressures of trying to make ends meet when you have a family. And it is good he had the thought to go and cast Ifa. When he cast Ifa, he was asked to offer a bow. And in this situation, when he offered a bow, things did not get better. They didn't get better for a while. He just went out along his business. The Babalawo said, in one day time, all of your challenges all of the things that you want, the impetus, the catalyst for making those things happen will occur in one day. Akin Sami kept the faith. He went and continued to do his work, and oftentimes he did his work to no avail. He was setting deadfall traps and setting other types of traps, and he caught nothing. But one day, on one faithful day, he caught 20 in the first trap, 30 in the back trap, 50 in the middle. He reached up to tie them up with a creeper plant, and then 16 land snails. These things are resources. This is wealth. This is money. And then he looked up into the sky to yell out, and honey fell in his mouth. He got honey. He got 16 land snails. He got 100 animals that he could sell. And then when he returned home, his wife, who was pregnant, had given birth to a set of twins. When we think about twins, twins are also a symbol of wealth. He went home and he was yelling. Basically, I can only imagine what Akin Sami was yelling. He probably was yelling something like, I am the man, I am the king. And when he was yelling, I am the man, I am the king, the haters around, they heard what he was saying, and they then said, Akin Sami thinks he is the king. That was an act of treason. punishable by death. So then the king came, apprehended him, or the king's men came and apprehended him and put him in a prison. Aking Sami, on the day that he got everything he wanted, he got everything he didn't want. As he sat in jail, he was waiting for his trial. He came in front of the king, who was the judge, and the king asked him, "Why did you say you are me?" Aking Sami thought, and he said, "I didn't say I was you. I merely said that my life is as affirmed as the king." "Why did you say that?" "Well, king, you don't know what I've been through. I had nothing. And in one day's time, I got 100 animals. I got a honeycomb. I got 16 land snails. And then to top it off, I go home and my wife has given birth to a set of twins. If you were me, you would say the same thing. If you were me, you would praise God like I praise God. You would do it too." The king felt all of what Aking Sami said, and instead of killing him, he gave Aking Sami some land so Aking Sami could have his own kingdom, just so that he could benefit in the same blessing that Aking Sami did. Sometimes we're right there at the edge. Sometimes we're right at the edge of the pot of gold. Sometimes we're right there at the edge of the diamonds and the jewels and the rewards. But we're sweating. Do not confuse sweat with impotent work. Let us sweat until we make the mission come to pass. When we think about all of these things, let's talk about the Ifa Ireteo Lota. Ifa says, our houses are far apart from each other. Our routes are not the same. Had they been the same, we would have taken the same route and I would have followed you and I would have accompanied you to your home. This were the Ifa cast for Biala when planning to become a student of Orunmila. He was advised to offer Ebo. He complied. The movement of our father is like that of an ant. The movement of our father is like that of an ant. It is only those who can follow an ant. Those are the ones who can follow Edu. The movement of our father is like that of an ant. What does this mean? Let's look at the attributes of an ant. Ants are oftentimes perhaps 10 times as strong as they appear to be. Many times ants are these tiny little beings, but they're stronger than they appear. Ants can walk over rough terrain, and they are consistent, and they're extremely determined. They're devoted. When Ifa says the movement of our father is like that of an ant, Ifa is saying, take on the characteristics of the ant. If you're going to follow me, then there will be some challenges. The only thing I can say is that you will overcome them, but they will come. In this regard, just as the ant has to crawl down, crawl up, climb over rocks, mountains, wade across streams, oftentimes with a leaf or food that is much heavier than the ant on its back. Ifa is saying that when you follow Ifa, you will have to be able to endure. Sometimes you will endure insult. Sometimes you might endure injury. Sometimes you might have to bite your tongue instead of cussing somebody out that you wanted to cuss out at that very moment. Sometimes you have to do that in order to reap the benefits of what Ifa is saying. It's not going to be easy. It is going to be rewarding. That is what Ifa is saying on this verse. It's not going to be easy, but it will be interesting. It's going to be great. But in order for you to be perfected for this greatness, you have to be perfected. You have to go through some pressure. What makes diamonds? It takes pressure. But the key is that the diamond never crushed under the pressure. That is what Ifa is saying. We have to be like that. In the Odu Ifa, Ogbe Oshe, Ifa says, the suffering of an Awo will not last forever. The poverty of an Awo shall soon turn to prosperity. Before long, we shall recline in comfort and laugh over this matter. We shall spread our two legs while sitting. These were the declarations of Ifa to Oshanla Osheremagbo when going to take on a cripple as his servant. He was advised to offer a bow. He complied. Now, the servant that I have is a nice servant. The servant that I have is making me money. The servant that I have has brought me prosperity. The servant that I have is a nice servant. In this Odu, Obatala was having some challenges and he needed a help. He needed a helper. He needed someone to, to assist him in the process of making his home habitable, cleaning up. He cast Ifa. Ifa basically said he wanted to go to the market and pay for a person who was in debt, and they would put themselves in basically indentured servitude. So Obatala decided he wanted to get this servant. He cast Ifa. Ifa basically said, when the first servant that you see, pick that one. So he said, Ashe. As Obatala went to the market, the first servant he saw was a guy laying on his side. He said, okay, I'll pick that guy. And the debtors were around and they said, are you sure? Obatala said, Ifa said, pick that one. And as he decided on that servant, the debtors literally had to lift him up. And Obatala realized that his servant had legs that were not working. So what he had to do, Obatala himself had to carry his servant home on his back. So it was as if Obatala had paid for a debt. So he had carried his servant back to the home. When he arrived at his home, Obatala was the one catering to the servant. And it became a good relationship because they became good friends. And Obatala would go and get food and bring it home and cook it for his servant. And at a certain point in time, his servant decided, well, you know what, Baba, you know what, let me do something. Please carry me to the home in the back. I'll be able to fend for myself, but just carry me there. Obatala reluctantly carried him there because that was his best friend at this point. And he knew that his friend couldn't walk. He knew his friend couldn't do very much of anything. But upon being coaxed, Obatala left his friend at the back home, which was far away from the main house. So as he left him there, a few days later, Obatala went to check on him, and his servant had made a wonderful crown out of red parrot feathers. And Obatala was amazed. He realized that his servant was an expert bird catcher who was finding the red parrot feathers from the African gray parrot. And he would trap the birds, take the feathers, and these feathers are very important, particularly in Ifa. And he was making a crown, and he made the crown and he gave the crown to Obatala. Obatala went out into the community wearing his crown. And then other people looked and they saw Obatala's crown. Oshun saw the crown and she was like, I want a crown just like that. Obatala said, well, my servant, he makes these things. He just gave it to me as a gift. I'm sure he can make one for you. And then made one for Oshun and got money. Shango wanted one. Eshu wanted one. All the Irumole wanted their own crown. So Obatala's debt, the servant that he literally had to carry to his home, was eventually the servant that was making him successful. Ifa says that soon we will laugh over the matter. Soon we will stretch our legs and tilt our head back. Ifa says on this Odu, the suffering of an Awo is only for today. Think about that. As we find ourselves in these challenging times, I want us to look for the pot of gold. I want us to look for the thing that gives value. We'll look for the lesson in this situation that helps us to be greater. Last but not least, I want to tell a story of the Odu Oturopon Irete. And this is the story of Oluwo. And what happened with this young lady is many years ago, the king of this particular community was trying to have a child. None of his wives could give birth to a child for him. And he went to his diviners, and his diviners said, well, king, what you need to do, you need to offer a human being to your Egungun. So he decided he would make that offering. It was very odd because that was not the usual situation. To offer a human being as sacrifice was uncommon. So he then sent his attendants to go out, and they found a person who was an indentured servant, and they purchased the debt, and they were bringing that person. This person happened to be a woman. The attendants were debating, like, should it be a woman? Should it be a man? Well, it's going to the Egungun shrine. Blood is blood. So whatever, we'll just take this woman. And they talked about what they're going to do, and she began to lament because she knew her fate was sealed. As she was about to go, there was a group of Babalaos who were sitting on the edge of the town, and they began casting Ifa to figure out which way that they should go. They motioned for Oluwo to come over, and they cast Ifa for her. And they told her, Iya, you are going to give birth to the king. And you are going to be the queen of a community. Imagine Ifa tells you some far-fetched information when you know that your life is in peril. When you know the doctor said you have this disease. When you know society has already said, ain't no cure for what you got. Ain't no cure for what's going on. We have no solution. But then you go and cast Ifa, and Ifa says, Ashe, just do this. What are you going to do? Are you going to choose the information that this society and this world has given you? Or are you going to choose the elevation that Ifa has guaranteed? Oluwo said, well, I already know what's going to happen to me. They said that as soon as I get back to that compound, they're going to kill me and offer me to the ancestors. The Babalao said, okay, well, let us offer Ebo. it is 3-4 calories. Oluo, that was all Oluo had in her pocket. So she gave the Babalaos all she had and went on her way. They offered the abo. When she arrived at the compound, everyone was debating, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna do this? Okay, we gotta wait till the morning, and then we'll sacrifice her then. So as Oluo had offered a bow, Eshu stepped into the picture. The king's wife came and she said, the king said basically to take care of this woman and give her lodging until tomorrow morning. Eshu got into the picture and the queen misunderstood what the king asked for, and she thought he said, let this young lady stay in your room. And so in that time period, with kings who have more than one wife, they don't spend the night with their wife. They have separate quarters. And so on this particular night, the king was to spend the night with his wife, with that particular wife. And she had her hair prepared and done in the way that he liked it. So as night came, that wife had allowed Oluo to stay in her room. And she went to another room, expecting the king to come there. The king there went instead to the room where Oluo was, expecting that to be his wife. And one thing led to another. In the dark, what happened, happened. The next morning, he said to his wife, why didn't you have your hair done in the way that you said you would have it done? You know, your hair's done now. You didn't have it done last night. She said, yes, I did. You didn't come see me. He said, well, who was that in the room? She said, that was Oluo. That was the woman who is the slave that you said that you wanted to give to your ancestors. Immediately, the king realized, okay, we cannot sacrifice this woman. And being the correct person that I am, the correct king that I am, I have to go and make amends with this woman. And making amends with this woman means that I now have to marry her. I have to take responsibility for my action. So he then married Oluo, immediately stopping the process of her being killed. Then, as Oluo was working with the sister wives, within that month, she had not had her cycle. She began to have symptoms of pregnancy, and they realized that Oluo was indeed pregnant. And this then solved the problem that the king wanted. He wanted to have his own child. He wanted to have his own lineage. So now she had given birth to a son. Many years later, the king then dies. And that son was the only heir. So then that son becomes the king. Oluo, in one swipe, goes from grass to grace. In one swipe, she goes from being told that she is going to die to being the next queen and the mother of the new king. This is what Ifa can do. But oftentimes, we have to take out our own concept of what we think the world is or what we think is going on. And what we need to do is truly see ourselves within the context of the destiny that Olodumare has given us. It was not Oluo's destiny to die. It was not Oluo's destiny to be the, the object of some diviner's misinterpretation. It was her destiny to be the queen. Can any of us imagine going from being a slave or a servant to being a queen or to being a king? Going from nothing to having everything. But had Oluo not listened or even taken the risk to just go over and cast Ifa and give what she had, where would she be? These are stories, but they're also parables. Ifa is telling us in so many ways that the reality of the situation is that we need to hold out. Hold out and hold on. We might see other things, crazy things happen in the world around us. Ifa says for us not to give up, not to lose our own faith, not to lose hope, because as I said, the night of all Ire has not yet fallen for an Awo. There's always hope and there's future. Let no one lose hope on Edu. So let us not lose hope. Let us use these Ifa verses as a source of faith and strength so that when we have doubts, when we have fears, let us hold on to the confidence of what Ifa says. The key here is for us not to walk in fear, but to always walk in faith and to always have an air of courage and optimism so that we can truly overcome the challenges of this world. Ashe, Aboro Aboye. Thank you all so much for listening and adhering and hearing to what we have to say for today. I want to make a couple of announcements. One of the announcements is we will be launching our Vimeo page. So many of the sermons and the lectures will be taken off of Facebook, YouTube, and we'll be uploading them to a separate site. And if you like the things that you hear, you will be able to access them there. That will be coming at least within the next coming weeks. Also, next week we have, I believe next week will be Itarogun. So I'll send the notice out for Itarogun for those who are interested and want to participate. Also, this coming Friday, we have the Ifa Temple service. Our Ifa Temple, not our Ifa Temple service, but our Friday night Ifa class. So every Friday night, we have a class on a different spiritual Ifa topic. So those of you who are interested, it is always announced either through text or on the Instagram page. So if you're interested, please go there. And also, it is advertised. The topic usually comes out maybe about a week, 2-3 days before the Friday, and it's announced on the website and on other places. So if any of you are interested in any of that, please touch bases, communicate with us. If you are interested in giving any sort of donation to what we're doing to assist us, please do. The information is below. Also, we're looking for a physical space to occupy, particularly when things around the coronavirus calm down a bit. But I think now is a good time to begin to look for a space that will be able to house all the good things that we want to do. We're looking for a space within the Lamert Park, Baldwin Hills area. So if you know of any place that you can assist us with, please contact me, let me know so we can move forward with that. So we thank you so much today. And I hope that you got something really rich out of what we said. So I want to end once again with prayer. Olodumare, please support us. Please guide us. Please direct us. Please protect us. Keep us safe within your arms. Help us to overcome the challenges without and the challenges within. Help us to replace the fear that we have with faith. Help us to replace the challenges and the challenging mindsets with confidence. Give us confidence and understanding in what we're doing as Ifa devotees. Help us to understand and know that the Irumole are making us better for this world and for the world to come. Ashe, Aboro, Aboe, Aboshishe. I thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please have a good week. And I hope to see you next time. Tap in with us for a Friday night class and the things coming up. Peace. Thank y'all. Thank you all so much. But I say no, the prayer if you know that God don't believe me, you know catch that thing. And it's about the don't so. And it's about the but if you can't see me, can't you show more? If you can't hear me, go answer, so far. But not to win. Never let's go. It's gotta let the light in you. Thank y'all so much. Be blessed.